Welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out, a podcast for feeling it all, one breath and scream at a time. I'm Katie Healy, your guide through this sacred mess called life. Here in this podcast, we'll feel everything. We'll cry, we'll laugh, we'll scream, and maybe scream again. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out, a podcast dedicated to feeling it all, one breath and scream at a time. I'm your host, Katie Healy, and I am so happy to be back with you for another solo episode. This episode is all about Cancer season, our Cancer new moon, our Capricorn full moon, and a very special transit we have happening right now, started on June 9th. That will be happening for the next 12-ish months, a little over a year, that will be influencing us all in positive ways. And I'm excited to share all of that with you. But before we get started, we'll start the same way we always do. Go ahead and wherever you are, seated or standing, just finding a space, a moment just for you, if you can. Go ahead and closing your eyes. If closing your eyes doesn't feel good, just gently holding them open with a soft gaze. And as we sit, stand, be in this moment of space we're creating, just connecting to your normal breath in through your nose, out through your nose, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Allowing yourself to really arrive in the seat of yourself, your energy. And after a few moments of connecting to your natural breath here, I'll guide us through 3 inhales and exhales, but feel free to take all the time you need. Go ahead, take a deep inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, using the exhale to shut off, release, shift anything you're working with today, looking to let go of on the surface level. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. We'll take one more round of breath just like that. Inhale through your nose, your deepest inhale yet. Exhale through your mouth. And now we'll get ready for our scream here. I'll be screaming into my hands so I don't blow out your eardrums. Feel free to do the same. Grab a pillow. If you're in a place where you can really let it rip, let it rip. But I think especially with everything happening in our personal worlds and in the world at large, there's plenty to scream about. Whether it is a frustrated, pent-up, cathartic scream, whether it's full of joy and freedom, whatever you need it to be today, make it yours. But we'll take it together. I'll count us in. Big scream. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, flutter your lips, let it go. Whew. Definitely something I needed today, probably every day, but and when you're ready, after that release, just gently starting to come back to your breath, flutter your eyes open and come back into the space. I hope that felt supportive, cathartic, and if you need another one, you pause this and you take it. Today's episode is all about Cancer, Capricorn axis. And before I get into that, I wanted to answer the same question that I've been asking my guest, which is, what are you screaming about? What am I screaming about? And what I'm screaming about today, not just today, but a lot of the season and the upcoming year, is this idea that we're made to believe, buy into, that's been projected onto us by our leaders, if you want to call them that, on our structures, on our governments, that there isn't enough to go around for everyone, this lack mentality. And I promise this will all tie into each other. So my sweet angel producer who's maybe thinking, oh, episode 3, we've lost her. I promise it will all make sense. But acknowledging the ways that our society makes us, at least here in America, if I have some non-American or listeners abroad, this idea that there's not enough money, resources, efforts, affordable housing, food, all these things that we're taught to buy into, this idea that there's not enough and that we need to hoard. And I think you know who I'm talking about. We need to hoard resources, hoard money, hoard knowledge. And especially coming up on Cancer season, this idea that there's not enough. I mean, I'm an American. I live in America. My dad was an immigrant. He did not come here legally, if that's how you want to refer to it. And he made a lot of sacrifices to be here, like so many immigrant parents, people that come here to the States for a better life and are just looking not to take, but to be a part of something greater. And America is a Cancer. July 4th is Cancer season, a Cancer sun. Give me, you're hungry, you're tired, you're poor, part of our ethos, our anthem. Not very aligned with all the ways we're made to believe that there's not enough spaces to care and nurture and abundance, and enough spaces for abundance. So if you thought I wouldn't say something, or you roll your eyes at politics, not even politics, just the idea that there is enough for all of us, just this general idea that we are made to believe it's you against me, instead of us against the people that make us buy into this shit. And I have certainly, not even just on a macro level, on a micro level, when I see another actor, when I see someone who's also a Reiki or breathwork practitioner, this tiny little part of me that thinks, oh, I missed my opportunity. Why should I share? Who am I to share? My voice doesn't matter. My efforts don't matter. And it all plays into this larger idea that, there's not enough, that abundance is a place that we need to get to, a higher place, something we need to achieve instead of all the abundance that is around us. So if you don't like to talk about those things, sorry, I don't. But especially the way I was raised, the background I come from, it's important for me to, being a white woman, use my voice to share in this way. And not even just in all the ways that it's happening at the macro level in our governments and our societies, but acknowledging and holding ourselves accountable for the way we play into it too. I know I certainly have and do. That's what I'm screaming about. And like I said, I promise it will tie into the themes of today, and a big theme we're coming up against in this next year and change. And I want to talk about that first before we get into Cancer new moon, Capricorn full moon, because it's something that will affect all of us. Jupiter just moved into Cancer. Jupiter is the planet of abundance. It is the largest planet in our solar system. It's the planet of luck, abundance, growth. It's how and where we create our luck, how and where we create abundance and step into it. Moving into Cancer, it loves to be in Cancer. Now, we all have a Jupiter placement. It doesn't mean that yours is in Cancer. My Jupiter placement happens to be in Taurus. But for this transit, you want to look at where Cancer is in your chart. If you don't know what that means, DM me, reach out. I do astrology readings. Also, I'm happy just to chat and help you figure that out. In the notes, I'll include some resources of where you can look your birth chart up if you've never done that before, and some steps on how to do that. If you know what your rising sign is, we can really simply figure out where Cancer is in your chart. For me, Cancer's in my second house, which is all about resources, self-worth, money. And even though you may not have a prominent Cancer placement, you do have a part of your birth chart, a house, 12 houses, 12 signs, that is ruled by Cancer. So as we start talking about this, as we have this next year coming up, maybe taking a moment to figure out where Cancer is in your birth chart. And this transit, Jupiter in Cancer, it loves to be there. We're coming out of Jupiter in Gemini. It's not at home there. In traditional astrology, we would call Jupiter being in Gemini in its detriment. The clothes are a little too snug. It doesn't really fit quite right. It's like fitting around a circle into a square. But in Cancer, it loves to be there. And Cancer in Jupiter, this transit is all about really magnifying our emotions, our emotional depth, our capacity for love, our creation of what and who feels like home. We'll talk more about Cancer, but Cancer is all about nurturing, intuition, sensitivity. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. Think about those qualities that a mother has. Even like I said earlier, American slogan, give me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. America being a Cancer, this idea of nurturing and care. So this next year, we're all going to be invited to ask ourselves together in general, as a whole, since Jupiter is one of more of those generational planets that only changes every 12 to 13 months here, or these outer planets, I really should say it's an outer planet, we're being invited to ask ourselves, what happens when you get out of your head and get into your heart? And what happens when we all, yes, personally, but also at a macro level, center care and nourishment, and we lead from that place? It's going to highlight the parts of us that want to feel safe in our life, that want us to feel secure, that feel free to express ourselves. If Cancer is the mother, the mommy of the zodiac, if Cancer is all about nurturing and nourishment, a mother in their highest expression, or the archetype of a mother, is that safety, that security, that full love and unconditional support. This transit, Jupiter in Cancer, wants us to redefine our hopes, our dreams. It wants us to stop romanticizing blood, sweat, and tears. Now, we all know hard work is a part of this life, or working towards the things you want. I have a lot of Capricorn placements, which we'll get into, so I understand and deeply know how good it can feel to really commit and be determined and work towards the thing you want. But there's another side of it too. It wants us just to explore what it feels like to, instead of romanticizing blood, sweat, tears, the patriarchal way of approaching things, it wants us to explore and romanticize for this next year and change what trust feels like, what openness feels like, how good it can feel to feel good, be with the people who make you feel good, to be in what brings you joy, and how sometimes we tie hard work to abundance. What if we tied feeling good to abundance? The better I feel, the more I attract. The better I feel, the more opportunities that come to me. The more I'm in my joy and what I love, and that makes me feel safe and good, the more abundance there is in this life, the more I will be able to achieve, to grow towards, to love, to express. It's a beautiful time for new creations of all forms: business, relationship, opportunity, that book you want to write, that marathon you want to run, that birth of something figuratively and literally, these babies, these creative, beautiful babies into this world. And one of my favorite astrologers, Chani Nicholas, she wrote a really great blog, has a really great content out right now all about Jupiter and Cancer. And she said at the end of one of her blogs, remembering this idea that, or rewriting the belief in us that abundance does not need to be earned. It's already here. There is already enough. And I wanted to talk about this first because it's something that will affect us all, and we can try it on as Cancer season, as we step into these next few weeks of Cancer season. This episode is out on the Cancer new moon. What better time to start to practice it? And we'll have a full year to really lean into this energy. It's honestly one of the most beautiful aspects of astrology for 2025. I said it before, 2025 is a batshit crazy year for astrology. There's lots happening, which I'll share in the next episode. Some big transits that are coming up, some retrogrades, not to be feared, just to be understood. But we're centering care and nourishment for this next year. And these solo episodes are dedicated to the moon, which is all about our body, our nourishment, how and where we care for ourselves and others. And Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's at home in the moon. It's where it wants to be. So all of this is the fascinating part of astrology for me, how all these things tie into each other. And I know it can feel overwhelming and be confusing, but even if you just focused on care this year, more nourishment, more care, more understanding, more compassion, with healthy boundaries, which we'll get into. But again, coming back to this constant theme of what happens when I prioritize my heart over my head, when I trust that I know how to be logical, be rational, be reliable, be dedicated, be committed, and allow myself to tap into my intuition more, and figuring out when I can wear both, when I need to be in my more quote unquote masculine, we're going to talk about that, energy of Capricorn, or rationale and daddy energy, which is Capricorn, and when I can be in my intuition, when I can be in my knowing, when I can operate from that place. I've been saying a lot lately, the past 20 years we've been in transits of heavy Capricorn, patriarchy, daddy energy, and there is a time for the masculine. I certainly have a lot of masculine energy in my chart, and I don't mean male. I mean forcing action, expression, being the dad, being the responsible one. And now we're being invited to try something different, to be in something different, because guess what? That didn't always work. And I've been saying this a lot. You know, we think a matriarchal society, which we keep saying women need to be in power, or I keep saying that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want that. But I think if you're listening to this podcast, you do. Or understand why it could be valuable to have a different perspective. I keep saying everyone thinks the matriarchy, or a lot of people, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people think the matriarchy is just going to be a patriarchy in a pantsuit. And we have to acknowledge, myself included, fully and completely, the ways we benefit from the patriarchy. As a white woman, I am loud and clear on that. In the ways that we contribute to it, and we uphold it. And the matriarchy is not the patriarchy in a pantsuit or a dress. It is a totally different way of caring for, showing up for, leading. It just is. People want to talk all the time about how different women and men are. Then we have to be open to a different way of being and doing things and holding space for, myself included. So that's a little bit about Jupiter in Cancer. I'll be bringing it up throughout the year. And again, not necessarily looking. You do have a Jupiter placement. Like I said, mine is in Taurus in the 12th house. That's a whole nother bag of tricks. But figuring out where Cancer is in your birth chart, what house it's in, this transit could be highlighting it. And if you do have a lot of prominent Cancer placements or a prominent Cancer placement, shout out to my sister, Cancer Moon. Shout out to some of my best friends who are Cancer Moons. I'm a Capricorn Moon opposite. And that part of your life, not only the house that it's in will be highlighted, but if you're, let's use the example, a Cancer Moon, this year will be even more magnified for you. Emotions, the body, nourishment, care, how and where you care for yourself and others. How much can you lean into that? It's going to be even more fertile ground for you to really lean into that. So, Lauren, my sister, I'm going to be on your ass about it. Just get ready. Okay. Deep breath in, deep breath out. All about Cancer season. So we have this Cancer season that we are fully in now. This episode releases on the Cancer new moon today, June 25th. The moon is in its fullest lunation, in its fullness, at 6:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The full moon will be in Capricorn on July 10th at 4:37 Eastern Standard Time. Cancer season is the season we're under, so the new moon is in Cancer, and the full moon is in its opposite, its sibling sign, Capricorn. New moons are always a time for new beginnings, all things new, what we're calling in. There's no moon in the sky, so we're basically at zero in some ways. We're open to be done to, we're open to start something new. We have the capacity to begin again. A full moon is a time when the moon is at its fullest, so we are at our fullness. We are filled. We are ready to release, to let go, to make space. So starting with Cancer season and this Cancer new moon, I wanted to start with a quote that I feel really embodies not only Cancer energy, but this Cancer season in particular and this year of Cancer care and centering care and nourishment. It's a quote from Tim Kreider. If we want the rewards of being loved, we have to submit to the mortifying ordeal of being known. I've learned that digging deep within yourself and putting forth what you found is a beautiful, bold act of vulnerability. To me, there's so many quotes I have that encapsulate Cancer and feeling our feelings. But Cancer is so much more than that. Cancer is a water sign. It is intuitive, sensitive, empathetic. It is also the crab, protective. That hard shell, that mama bear energy. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. It's a sign of home, family, nourishment, care. I know I've been saying those words on repeat, but because Cancer is also ruled by the moon and Jupiter is in Cancer for the next year, we're just really focusing on those things. And I brought this up a few moments ago. Moving forward throughout all my episodes, but especially this one, I'm going to refer to feminine energy and masculine energy. And when I release my Reiki episode, we'll dig into that a little bit more. But when I talk about energy in the feminine and masculine, we're not talking about gendered. So as best as you can, releasing all the preconceived notions we all have about what it means to be feminine and what it means to be masculine, what it means to be mommy, what it means to be daddy. When I say feminine, mommy, mother energy, masculine, daddy, father energy, it's more about archetypes of what they represent. Feminine is receptive, open, passive. Masculine is giving out, acting, expression, forcing. Now you may have some ideas about those words, some feelings about those words. I'm presenting them all. No feelings are good or bad, right or wrong in my spaces that I create. So Cancer is the feminine. Cancer is open, receptive, passive. It is all about that intuitive nature, that feeling body. And you might be saying to yourself, Katie, I have a body. It's where I feel my feelings. But a lot of times we're not in the feeling body, in the feeling space. And Cancer season is always going to invite us to drop down into the depths of our feeling. And I know intuition can be a hot word in general, or a hot topic, I should say, in astrology, in wellness, in these spaces where we talk about feeling. It can get a little convoluted and complicated, and I think intuition is part of you that, the part of you that doesn't make rational sense. It's from the feeling, not the thinking, the feeling body, not your rational mind. The part of you that wants to go to Italy and pick strawberries for a year. That idea, and when you keep coming back to it, right? Do they grow strawberries in Italy? I don't know. My sister said that once. So that part of you that feels that calling to do something that doesn't make rational sense in our society. Maybe you don't function from a rational place. I don't know how much I do, but that part of you that wants everything to make logical and rational sense on paper. That is not your intuition. Your intuition is the thing that is oftentimes inconvenient. That if you're in a relationship that on paper seems so right and you're taking all the next steps, but something in you feels off, that's your intuition. When you have a great job that you love and people you care about and it feels good enough and you get this amazing opportunity that's going to require you to upend your life a little bit and it's for you, that's your intuition. Or when you just got a hankering for ice cream and it's going to make you feel better and it doesn't make quite sense. It's 12 p.m. and you do it anyway. That's your intuition. It doesn't always need to be those big, complicated moments, but it's heavily focused on the intuitive self and the intuitive body. Cancer in its lightest energy, highest vibration, some people will say, and its lightness is all about the act of giving and receiving and understanding that it's the same thing in different forms. We understand in the highest energy of Cancer, in its lightness, in its fullness, groundedness, in its most actualized energy, that feelings are meant to be felt and moved through in a healthy way. That not every feeling we have can be analyzed and talked through. I love talk therapy. I'm healthily obsessed with my therapist. She is an integral part of my work and my practice, but I know that I can't just talk about my feelings. I need to find the spaces and the ways to feel them in a healthy way. That no amount of distraction will move me away from it. That no amount of distraction when I'm really in my highest expression of this Cancer energy can take me away from my intuition, and I just find the channel of it. And like everything, there is a darker tone, a darker side, every side. And like I say, astrology is not just about understanding your stuff, it's about understanding all of it and not an excuse. It's an opportunity to step into a deeper awareness. So the lower vibration of Cancer, or the darker tones, is being overly wrapped up in your emotions, is projecting all of them onto everybody else, is making everyone kind of deal with your meltdowns, deal with your feelings, deal with your sensitivity. It's when we lose our ability to be non-reactive in a healthy way, when we get so consumed with making it all about our feelings or us, when we remove that ability to be thoughtful, and in return, or in the cause and effect of it, we can't move from our intuition. So presenting both sides of that, because I find Cancer season is one of the most powerful seasons that really sinks us into emotion. And because, I grew up in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, we weren't talking about how to process and deal with your emotions. It was, move beyond it, push yourself past it. So we don't always have the tools to know how to really move through things in a healthy way. And we're required now more than ever to figure that out, whatever that looks like. Meditation, exercise, talk therapy, EMDR, all the things, all the tools, whatever works for you. And I don't think a lot of people think about Cancer energy this way. And I've been thinking a lot about it with Cancer now moving, or Jupiter moving into Cancer, that there's actually no sign more capable of cultivating growth in a healthy, steady, patient, actualized way than Cancer. And maybe some astrologers that listen to this will be like, girl, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's okay. This is my waxing poetic about this transit we're coming up on for the next year, and starting here in Cancer season, really the opportunity to explore it. Not everyone associates growth and Cancer, maybe, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, these visionaries, these Scorpio, the ability to metabolize, grow, Sag, the ability to expand and adventure, take it, be adventurous, Capricorn, the work ethic, Aquarius, the visionary. I'm a Sag, as you may have learned from the last episode. I've got a stellium in Capricorn. A stellium means 3 or more planets in one sign, in one house. I've got Scorpio in my chart too. And when I'm ready to do something, or when I decide it's time to grow, I am shot out of a fucking cannon. I do not always take the steps to set myself up and focus on nourishing myself and creating the space for myself to grow, and being patient and feeling safe in the environment. So very aware of where I need to work on that, as always. And it's messy, and it's not always, I want to move at the speed of light with everything. When I'm ready to do something, it needs to happen. Patience is a virtue I do not naturally possess, that I have to work towards every day. And if, my friends, loved ones have been on the receiving end of that, I feel you. Thank you for being patient with me when I am not always patient with myself. But the thing about growth is it asks us to step outside of our comfort zone. And when we do that, it can rattle our nervous system in a very deep way, even if, especially if we know logically we are ready to grow. We know we're ready to take the next step. We don't always create the understanding and compassion for ourselves that our nervous system, our body, our feeling body may have not caught up because the trauma we store in the body, the last time we tried to grow and change and maybe that backfired or how it made us feel. So cancers create the space or ask the question in growth, can we slow down long enough to feel our feelings, to let our nervous system catch up? And when you think about mother feminine energy in its the archetype in its most realized expression, in its highest expression of being a mother, it is warm, it is nurturing, it is patient. It loves you despite how much you piss them off. It loves you in spite of your flaws. It gives you the space to figure it out. And the opposite of that, the opposite of the lightness of Cancer or the mother archetype, the darker shadow side of it, that mama bear energy is real. That willingness, actor world, I think of a lot of different plays or Shakespeare, that mother archetype, that willingness to do anything to protect their child, their children, the raw, sheer protection that they're willing to go to any lengths. And we're seeing that now in many, many ways. Women advocating for their children, women doing everything they can to be with, not just women, the mother archetype to protect and be with, the lengths the mother archetype will go to, not just women, men, however you identify, willing to protect their children, willing to protect their child, their loved one. We see that too, that Cancer protective shell. So seeing both sides of that and understanding that Cancer energy, when we get in the pits of our own despair and our feeling and the darker shades of that, how can we lean into it in a way that allows us to cultivate growth, that gives us the time to be patient, to nourish, to feel safe in our feelings. This Cancer season is all about that. And this new moon is all about tapping into our intuition, our feeling body, our feeling, that part of us that wants to be seen, heard, felt, understood, and finding the people in the spaces that can do that. I think sometimes we think every partner, romantic, business-wise, every family member, every friend, every person in our community, that if they can't accept all of us, they get none of us. And there's a time and a place for that. But also, I think part of care and nourishment is understanding who you can go to. I think, especially in romantic partnership, we want our partner to hold and be everything for us. And when they can't, we think there's something wrong. But not everyone has the capacity to feel as deeply as you do, or to be as analytical as you do, or to hold the space that you need. And that doesn't mean they don't love and care and tend to you, but also acknowledging being mature and in that higher vibration of Cancer enough to know who can nourish you in the moments and the ways that you need it. And not only knowing, but being vulnerable and open enough to ask for it, to share what you need in a healthy, grounded, vulnerable way. So some Cancer practices for this new moon, I have two, I'll include them in our notes, would be spending a week, a day, an afternoon only making choices, decisions using your intuition. Releasing that part of you that needs to have it all figured out, make math of, analyze, criticize. I understand that we all are in different places with our intuition. Even if you work on it a lot, there's just some days where, I am in my head. Very, very much so. And I find that's always an invitation to listen to your intuition deeper. So For maybe even today on the Cancer new moon, how can you make choices or create the space in your day, very Capricorn energy balance, create a specific space in your day to do things that nourish you, to schedule the massage, to schedule therapy, to reach out to a friend, to do the things that make you feel nourished and held, and to just make the space in your day to make intuitive choices. And maybe this is something you can do throughout the season, not just today, if you're feeling open to it. Another practice I love that you can do short and quick and daily and ground you and helps you to admit, emote, create Cancer energy in your environment is a loving kindness meditation. They're available everywhere. You can Google it wherever you're listening to this, whatever meditation app you use. I'll include a link to one as well, a loving kindness meditation. It's really 3 to 4 parts, but it's this simple mantra. You ground yourself. You start with yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free. Then you extend it out to your community. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be free. Some people say you instead of they. You extend it to someone you love. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be free. And then you extend it to someone who you're in a challenging moment with, or you have trouble being compassionate or nourishing or nurturing or understanding to, or maybe you just don't vibe with. Can you still, even if you struggle with them deeply, offer them that same mantra, may they be happy, may they be healthy, may they be free. And then you bring it back to yourself. Short, if you're really in a bind, doesn't even need to take more than a minute a day. A beautiful Cancer season practice. And of course, we wouldn't have Cancer season without Capricorn Full Moon. Now I mentioned I'm a Capricorn for Capricorn placements. I am a Capricorn moon. The moon does not love to be in Capricorn because Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer. I have all my Capricorn in my 8th house, my planet or the house of death, birth, transformation. I'll let you make of that what you will. Capricorn is earth because Cancer is water and we need that earthy grounding balance to that watery energy. It is grounded, it is practical, it is determined, it is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karmic life lessons. But you're going to learn today. It is the daddy, the father of the zodiac. My dad was a Leo, and unfortunately, I don't know his full birth chart because in Ireland, where he was born and grew up, at the time, they did not put the time that you were born on your birth certificate. And yes, for everyone, is it really that important? It really is, because he happened to be born on a day where a lot of things changed in the sky. But I do know he's a Virgo moon, another earth sign, and that makes so much sense to me. But when I think of daddy energy, when I refer to that, not just as the father archetype, it's all the things. It's getting your taxes done 3 months in advance. It's my dad's favorite show being Antique Roadshow. It is the dad that wants to get to the airport 5 hours early to foresee any issues, hiccups, problems, that sort of energy. It is the grounding we need in the midst of watery Cancer season. A quote for Capricorn, and especially this Capricorn full moon, which will be on July 10th. It is from Jen Sincero, straight to the point. Your heart is the most powerful muscle in your body. Do what it says. If anyone's a Succession fan here, Logan Roy definitely has massive Capricorn placements in him. And I can relate, understand, appreciate, not to Logan Roy. You need to handle me with kid gloves. I'm not looking for that tough love no more. I got plenty of it. My family has heavy Virgo placements. What I need to release in this life, my Virgo placement, it's all in Virgo. So I'm good. You can miss me on the tough love unless I ask for it. The thing I like to say is, No one is harder on me than me. I am giving myself all the tough love I need. That is Capricorn energy. And Capricorn is often referred to as the workhorse of the zodiac. Capricorn is determined, grounded, authentic, focused. It's when we fully commit to our intuition, the Cancer side of it, and our life's mission, our life's work. Capricorn traditionally rules the 10th house, which is about career, legacy, public-facing roles, life mission. And I like to say life mission instead of career or life purpose, because not all of us are meant to make our career our life's work, our life's mission. The thing that lights us up the most is not going to be our career. And there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, I'm very envious of those folks. And because there's a separation that happens. So it's that part of you that knows you're meant to do something greater. Again, tying in that Cancer, the opposite, the sibling sign, intuition. It does have that energy of needing to carry it all, even when it's not yours. Daddy energy, father energy. The highest vibe of Capricorn is all those things I just mentioned, that focus, that authenticity, that being so rooted in your life's purpose, in who you are, in what you stand for, that you're not easily thrown or swayed. And my Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn moon, like I shared. So it is my emotional body. It is how I feel. It is how I process my emotions. So I am very familiar with the shadow side of Capricorn, which is isolation. A lot of times when I'm feeling a lot, I self-isolate. It is being overly fixated on achievement, external validation in terms of what you have achieved, not necessarily looks or flaunting in that way. It's more about the deep desire to achieve and grow towards. It can be stonewalling, it can be dismissive, it can shut down. And people often say that Capricorns have no feelings. And I hope I'm not a Capricorn sun, but I'm a Capricorn moon, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. I've got a lot of it. So let me be the testament to the fact that Capricorns can be deeply sensitive. They just can compartmentalize in a different way. A lot of times I need to process something on my own before I'm willing to share or express, because it's not feeling my feelings fully. It's something I've worked on. I have a tattoo on my leg that says feel everything. It's facing me, so I see it every day. It's because I need to work on it. It's because it's something that is so not naturally in my nature. So I really understand all of the parts of Capricorn in its shadow side that just can be driven by ego and that deep, deep, deep self-reliance. And it's not because Capricorn thinks they know better. It's because of fear that if they depend on someone else, that person really won't catch them or can't hold the fullness or the depth or the sensitivity. So love on a Capricorn today. Love on someone with a Capricorn moon placement, not just me. And, I share this and I share about myself because I want everyone to know that I know this information because I think it's so powerful, and I share it because I think it's so helpful. I do not know better. I do not know better than you. I am still working on it. And this part of my chart, even though I've come, in my, personal opinion, really far with these parts of myself, I so see the work that I still have to do. And maybe that's the most Capricorn thing I've said this whole episode. Capricorn moon thing I've said. The work is endless. That is the Capricorn mantra. Capricorn is the sea goat. I have seen sea goats climb up the side of a steep, steep ocean cliff in Ireland, and they make it to the top. That's the embodiment of Capricorn energy. So I don't share because I think I know better. I share because it's something I deeply believe in, and I'm working on it so very much myself all the time. And maybe there's a part of you that relates. Maybe you have a Cancer, Capricorn little axis here, and you understand too. So I just want to give that disclaimer. That's why I openly share and use myself as the example, because I can. And don't worry, next episode solo will be all Aquarius, Leo. I have no Aquarius or Leo placements. I have nothing in those parts of my chart, and I attract them like wildfire. But anyway, back on track with this Capricorn full moon. So a full moon being a time to release, let go of, and Capricorn being all about structure and focus and grounding and authenticity and purpose and understanding, taking our intuitive feelings and channeling it into our purpose. This full moon is all about what makes you feel purposeful and how you're driven within that purpose. It wants us to figure out what deserves our attention and what doesn't. And I think some really great practices for this full moon are to ask yourself, what deserves my attention, what doesn't? What habits, activities, hobbies, parts of life, when I do them, I feel like I really return to myself. I really am at home with myself. I feel safe and secure and lit up and grounded. I think sometimes we think when we're lit up, it's creative and chaotic. And I don't mean in that way. I mean that part of you that feels so rooted in who you are. And another question, when do I say yes because I feel obligated to and not from my desire? I need to ask myself that one often. All my Capricorn placements, I need to ask myself that one constantly. I'm in a little season of that when I say yes unconsciously. And not because I want to, but because, bringing it back full circle here, I feel like I have to. Because if I say no, I'll lose the opportunity. It will never come back again. There's not enough to go around. I am deeply guilty of that. So asking yourself those questions and a full moon practice, combining this Cancer energy and this full moon energy in Capricorn, would be to use the Cancer new moon today and this season to figure out what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel nurtured, what practices, what people, what habits, what way of being. And then the Capricorn full moon, not only releasing the things that stand in the way of that, those things we say yes to, those parts of ourselves we need to shut off or deactivate from, those parts of us that we give attention that don't deserve our attention. Yes, asking those questions and then consciously creating the space and the container to feel your feelings, to, in a healthy way, channel, move through your feelings, to create the container, the space in your day, the community, joining the group, starting the habit that allows you to not only feel your feelings, but feel safe, to feel supported, to feel grounded in a practice. Cancer, feeling our feelings is important, and we need to find the avenues, the places, the spaces to do that instead of just flailing about and flinging them onto people. That is not the healthy Cancer. The healthy Cancer takes in its yang, its opposite, its sibling sign Capricorn, and creates the space for itself to do so. And vice versa. Capricorn creates the structure so that they can safely and comfortably feel their feelings. And some great practices in a Capricorn full moon would be to start a practice for the next 6 months until the Capricorn new moon that allows you to be in your purpose, to be in something that lights you up. Capricorn energy likes cathartic movement, cathartic exercise practices. Maybe you've always wanted to run a marathon, and running helps you process your feelings. Running helps you move through, quiet the mind, drop into the body. Now, if you know me, this is a funny example I'm using. Your girl ain't running. I ain't running nowhere except from the patriarchy, mediocre white men, and whatever the hell they tell you a cubicle. I'm not running. I'm running from those things. I'm not running. I'm not running for fun. But I recognize how many people love the practice, how meditative it can be, how much it grounds themselves in achievement, how cathartic it can be. So maybe planning a marathon, and I won't be running with you, but I will be cheering you along the sidelines the whole way. Maybe it is starting The Artist's Way, which is an incredible book that can help you realize, self-actualize in ways of how you light your creativity up, what it means to be a creative. We all are, which I'll talk about that in a different episode. What it means to be in your creativity, what it means to commit to something. I think when we think art, we think it's chaotic and all over the place. And yes, speaking as an actor, writer, creative, you get hit with moments of inspiration and you just need to follow it and you need to put everything down and in that moment do it. But if my writer friends have taught me anything, it is that if you do not create the space in your day and you make it an everyday habit, ritual, of course you take breaks, but very Capricorn, you create the structure, it's not going to happen. It's not. And I know I've heard of writers who don't, and everyone around them suffers, and it's not a great collaborative way of working. And I have a friend, if he's listening to this, he knows who it is, who really builds his, it's a non-negotiable for him to build this time into his day. And, maybe it's an hour and you sit there and you stare at the blank page for an hour and that's the practice for the day. But Capricorn is showing up when you commit to yourself, when you commit to the thing, when you commit to the practice, and trusting that showing up is enough. And if it doesn't go the way you thought it would, not being in the shadow side of Cancer, criticize, judging, shaming, blaming, being in the lightness of Capricorn, and trusting that you showed up and you did what you said you were going to do, and you showed up as you were in that moment. So this Capricorn full moon, can you create the structure, the space to feel your feelings, and vice versa? In that space, can you really allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel? Can you let go of your preconceived notions of how it's going to look and trust that the showing up is enough and the committing to the practice is enough and the creating the space is enough? And that is Cancer, Capricorn axis, Cancer new moon, Capricorn full moon. Just some of my thoughts and experience with it. I feel all of my placements, personally, I tap into them in different ways. And Capricorn, because it's not only in my moon, but also my Saturn, my life lesson, and it doubled down so hard. It's when, like I spoke about with Krista Williams in my previous guest episode. If you haven't listened to that episode, please do. It's such a good one, especially if you're going through your Saturn return. Anyone in that 27 to 30 range, you either have started it, you finished it, you're in it. And it was a time where I was brought to the mat of feeling everything, feeling my feelings. For me, it looked like death in the literal sense. And I don't mean that to scare you, but Capricorn's my moon, it's my Saturn, it's in the 8th house of death, birth, transformation. And I was really asked to step into all the places in myself where I was overly reliant on working, doing, producing, being in my masculine, forcing acting expression. And I had to surrender in a lot of ways into my feminine, again, the archetypes, the receiving, the openness, the vulnerability, the saying, the relying on others through my grief. And, I lost my dad. I lost both my grandfathers. I lost a dear mentor. I went on to lose a long-term relationship a few years after I lost my uncle. It's also not lost on me that all of the loss I've had in the masculine in my life, and that I can lean energy-wise into that forcing, doing, acting, expression, and it's not bad. It's not wrong. That part of me that so deeply, I've said many times, I just have this deep desire to achieve and leave something behind. Duh. Astrology helped me realize why. because all of my Capricorn, but there's a different way of being. My second house is ruled by Cancer, and I do have one Cancer placement. It's not a planet, but my Cancer is all about my self-worth. It rules my second house, and it's the opposite of that. And I think a part of me will always be invited to deal with this feminine, masculine, give, take, receive, open, expression. It's just, again, something I'm always going to be working on. At least I don't think that's a bad thing. But again, maybe it's all my Capricorn. So finding the places in your chart, finding the places in your life where you can really lean into your feeling, feel safe enough to do that and create the container. And I also, I started this episode in a specific way, and I want to acknowledge something here. We're talking about abundance. We're talking about feeling. We're talking about intuition and safety. And I want to acknowledge how unsafe a lot of us feel. Whether it's because of our physical circumstances, our financial circumstances, our socioeconomic circumstance, the way we're made to feel that it's me against you instead of us against the people that continue to create and force these systems that don't work for everyone, that aren't rooted in care and support and love, and really rebelling against this idea that it has to be this way. And is it comfortable? Does it make us feel safe to undo these structures that we've lived in for so long? No, it's not going to feel comfortable and safe. So more than ever, finding the communities and the spaces that allow that. And if right now you're just calling in abundance in the form of money, that does not make you any less spiritual. To want a roof over your head, to be able to pay your bills, to take care of your family, yourself, your children, that does not make you any less actualized. That does not make you selfish or part of the problem. We know who the problem is. I would say their names, but I'm just going to move myself up the government watch list. So, my producer, you're an angel, please. She's like, here we go. My favorite meme currently is this little bunny rabbit, and it's like, I hope our names are touching on the government watch list. But I'm not trying to be some sort of activist, anarchist, burn it all to the ground. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just trying to acknowledge how complicated actually practicing care and compassion can be when we feel unsafe in the basic day-to-day. So if you do feel that way, I have been there. I have spent the better part of my adult life paycheck to paycheck without health insurance, without a safety net. I am the safety net. This is the safety net. And I do have people emotionally that I have so much abundance in terms of support and friendship and relationship and family and care. But for me, the safety net isn't there financially. So if you're there, focusing on creating abundance in that way does not make you any less spiritual. If anything, it makes you more aware of what you need right here and now. And eventually you can tend to the other parts of you. So I just really want to hold space for that too. And on that note, that is Cancer season, Cancer new moon, Capricorn full moon. I know this was chock full of a lot of information. So even if you hold on to one little nugget, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Please let me know how I can support you. I know it's always a lot of information, but the show notes will be full of ways to look up your birth chart, aspects of what you can do to support yourself, the Cancer season playlist. And please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me with questions, with gripes, with feelings, with thoughts about what you want more of in these episodes are coming up. There's nothing, I love talking, but there's not a lot of things I love more than talking about astrology. So I'm always here to listen, to breathe, to scream with you, and I can't wait to do it all again in the next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in.